Welcome to the Human 5.0 Project, the podcast where we cut straight to the breakthroughs that matter, the show where science meets self-optimization. I'm your host, Ultimate Biohacker 10X, and here we break down the real research, real data, and real dosing behind modern biohacking, from compounds and peptides to techniques, devices, lifestyle strategies, and performance protocols. Most people jump in and jump out before they get the gold, so we're keeping it tight and delivering the essential insights you need without the fluff. If you've taken the time to hit play, we'll make sure you walk away with valuable knowledge that can transform your approach to longevity, health optimization, and beyond.
If you've ever looked at your body and thought, man, I wish I could just flip a switch and get stronger, leaner, faster, without the grind, then today's episode is for you. We're not talking supplements or bro science hacks. We're talking about the edge where science meets real human evolution. Compounds that talk directly to your cells, make them think they've already trained, and maybe, just maybe, help you build the muscle while you're sitting here listening. This is Ultimate Biohacker 10X. No fluff, no hype, just the truth about what's coming next. First, a disclaimer. This is for educational purposes only. It's not medical advice. SLU-PP-332 is not FDA approved. It's not a supplement. And honestly, we don't even have human data yet. So if you're tempted to go buy it online, proceed with caution and knowledge. That's not biohacking. It's gambling. What we are doing today is breaking it down, where it came from, what it actually does, why it's got people buzzing, and, most importantly, where this whole field is headed. Because if you want to be human 5.0, you don't chase pills. You chase understanding. All right? Let's dive in. Imagine this for a minute. You wake up, you pop something small, and your body thinks you just ran 10 miles. Your mitochondria, those little power plants inside every cell, start cranking out energy like you've been training for months. Fat burns, endurance spikes, even your brain feels sharper. Sound like sci-fi? It's not. It's SLU-PP-332, the so-called exercise mimetic. And yeah, it's real. But here's the catch. It's not a shortcut. It's a signal. And today, we're going to decode this. Again, nothing here is a green light. No tested dosing and no sourcing, just facts. Biohacking is not about being reckless. It's about measuring, learning, and waiting until something's actually proven. So where did this thing even come from? Not some shady lab. Not a dark web forum. It started at St. Louis University. Real scientists. Real peer-reviewed papers. They weren't trying to sell you anything. They were trying to understand exercise. Here's the simple version. Your body has these switches called ERRs, or estrogen-related receptors. Think of them like light switches that flip on when you run, lift, or sweat. When they turn on, your cells make more mitochondria. You get better at burning fat, and you get stronger. SLU-PP-332 is a synthetic key. It flips those switches without you moving. Researchers used it like a lab tool to see what exercise actually does at the gene level. They weren't chasing abs. They were chasing the blueprint. So let's make this crystal clear. When you exercise, your muscles scream for energy. That signal goes through something called the PGC1-alpha AMPK ERR pathway. I know it's a mouthful. PGC1-alpha is like the master regulator that tells your genes to adapt. AMPK senses energy levels and kicks things into gear. And the ERRs, well, those are the receptors that make it all happen. SLU-PP-332 just jumps in and says, hey, pretend you just did all that. In mice, they grew more of the good muscle fibers, the ones that don't fatigue fast. They burned fat better. They ran longer. But here's what matters. It only mimics part of exercise. You still need real movement for bone density, tendons, coordination, everything else. So no, it's not exercise in a pill. It's exercise in a whisper. Now, the mouse studies are wild. Obese mice on SLU-PP-332 gained less fat, oxidized more fuel, and looked healthier. No obvious disasters. But, and this is huge, no obvious disasters isn't safe. And mice aren't you. Short trials aren't decades. And here's the plot twist. The original version, not orally bioavailable. You'd need injections. Later, they made SLU-PP-332. Same idea, but you can swallow it. And that's when the hype exploded. If it boosts endurance, someone's going to dope with it. There's already a 2026 paper tracking metabolites for anti-doping labs. And the WADA has it on its radar. Point is, every breakthrough gets weaponized before it gets regulated. Now, let's talk what you really want: muscle. SLU-PP-332 doesn't directly grow muscle, but it primes your body for it. And here's how. More mitochondria mean more energy for lifting heavy. Better fat burning means cleaner gains. And when you stack it with the real training, you're not just recovering, you're upgrading. The real play? Myostatin. That's the protein that caps how big your muscles can get, like a governor on a car. Future biohackers are eyeing CRISPR to dial it down. Imagine SLU-PP-332 keeps your engine running hot, then myostatin blockers let you rev it higher. Not today, not tomorrow, but in 5 years, that's Human 5.0. So where to next? Because this isn't about one compound, it's about the shift from take this pill to talk to your genes. So we'll break it down with an exercise mimetic scorecard. Think of these as 4 different levers on the same machine. They don't replace exercise, they imitate specific subroutines of exercise. Okay, ERR, alpha, beta, gamma. This is the mitochondria and oxidative engine. What it mimics best? Endurance-style transcriptional programming, oxidative fiber shift, and fat oxidation bias. Preclinical signature outputs: more oxidative capacity and endurance performance in mice with pan-ERR agonism. Basically, going after all 3 of the ERR receptors. This would be SLU-PP-332 line of work. What it doesn't do: tendon and bone loading, skill, coordination, cardiovascular remodeling, all the things that training does. So what's a takeaway for the biohacker? ERR is the engine upgrade lever, metabolic horsepower, but not structural integrity. Regarding risk and ethics, it's actively discussed as doping potential in analytical and anti-doping research. AMPK. This would be the fuel gauge in the energy stress signal. And what it mimics best? The low energy signal that pushes muscle toward more oxidative metabolism. Signature outputs: this is preclinical, AICAR, AICAR, and it's an AMPK activator. This increased endurance in sedentary mice and reprogrammed muscle metabolism. But what it doesn't do? It doesn't magically build strength, and it's not equivalent to progressive overload. What's our biohacker takeaway? AMPK is the battery saver mode switch, efficiency and metabolic adaptation, not muscle architecture. Risk and ethics: AMPK activators like AICAR are treated as prohibited performance modulators in sport, so be aware of this. Next, PPARδ. This would be fat burning and endurance phenotype bias. What it mimics best? Fatty acid uptake and oxidation programs, and endurance leaning muscle phenotype shifts. Preclinically, the signature outputs: PPARδ agonism is tied to endurance adaptations. Studies in metabolomics work examine GW501-516 effects on endurance in mice. What it doesn't do? It doesn't confer safe endurance in real human system by default. Biology is messier than a pathway diagram. Finally, the myostatin axis, the growth brake release. What it mimics best? Not endurance, hypertrophy permissiveness, which is removing inhibitory signaling on muscle growth. Biological signature outputs: myostatin is a negative regulator of muscle. Inhibition can drive hypertrophy signaling shifts, and it comes with complex downstream effects. What it doesn't do? It doesn't guarantee functional strength, tendon resilience, or athleticism. Our biohacker takeaway: this is the bigger engine block lever, mass potential, but it can be a double-edged sword depending on context. So let's bring it all together and look at the punchline comparison here. ERR builds the oxidative engine. AMPK flips the energy stress adaptation switch. PPARδ biases fuel and endurance gene programs. Myostatin axis loosens the muscle growth brake. The future? Lane 1, basics. I know I'm boring you with this. Zone 2, cardio, sleep, and protein. Lane 2, data, CGMs, HRV, blood work. Lane 3, this is the frontier, receptor tools and peptides, but only when they're safe, human tested, and audited. Rule number 1, proof beats hype. If there's no pharmacokinetic and pharmacodynamic data, there's no trust. No long-term safety? No thanks. Here's where biohacking is going, and it's not where most people think. The old era, this was inputs, powders, protocols, stacks, and shortcuts. The next era is control systems, signaling, transcription, timing, and feedback loops. In the next 5 years, the real dividing line won't be who has the wildest supplement shelf. It'll be who can run the cleanest experiment on themselves, who can measure, interpret, and not lie to themselves with noise. Because compounds like these don't represent exercise in a pill, they represent something bigger. We're learning how to toggle specific adaptation programs, oxidative metabolism, substrate preference, hypertrophy signaling, without touching the whole organism the way training does. And that's the trap. If you can toggle one lever, you'll be tempted to ignore the rest. Connective tissue, skill, cardiac remodeling, recovery capacity, behavior, sleep, etc. But biology collects its debt, always. So the future isn't replacement, it's precision. Use your behavior as the foundation. Use your measurements as a filter. And demand human data before you treat mouse outcomes like a personal promise. Biohacking 2026 and beyond is simple. Proof over hype, signals over stories, and systems over shortcuts. SLU-PP-332 isn't the answer. It's actually the question. The future belongs to people who measure, wait, and verify, not to those who chase. So if you could tell the community one thing about what's next, what is it? To you. Thanks for listening. Keep asking hard questions. Keep testing yourself. And remember, your body's not broken. It's just waiting for the right signals. Stay curious, stay optimized, and stay human. This is Ultimate Biohacker 10X. I'm out. Thanks for listening to the Human 5.0 Project.
If you found value in today's episode, share it with someone who's ready to elevate their biology. Make sure to follow the show for weekly deep dives into peptides, protocols, devices, lifestyle strategies, and the science of high-performance longevity. Until next time, stay curious, stay optimized, and stay 10X.